This is my video critique for chapter 5. In the first TED Talk, they talked about social justice and how social justice is when it's a fair world for everyone, and that education can be a tool for social justice. And in there, it had the quote that, teachers don't just teach subjects, we teach people. And she talked about how the one teacher quoted or disagreed with her on Twitter and how he only teaches his subject and that education is for education. But, as teachers, we don't just teach our subject, we teach our students. And they bring their identities with them to school, and we have to be able to teach them not only our content area and subjects, but also relationships and politics and social and emotional skills and life skills and all of those things. And she talked about how social justice should be a part of the mission for all schools, and that schools are crucial places for young people to become active citizens. And I like when she talked about how she doesn't just teach about history, she has her students explore history, and that instead of just teaching it, they experience it and become active in that, and then relate it to kind of what's happening now. It's also important to encourage students to have their own opinions. You shouldn't be teaching them what you think or your opinion. You have to teach them to try to explore and to have their own opinions. And it's up to us to listen to those opinions. It's important to teach our students that we need to live in an equitable world where everyone is equal, and how we need to fight to make sure that we can change that, and that students have a voice, and being able to teach them how to use that voice is important. Then she kind of talked about how we need to change the way we think about rebellion in our kids, which I thought was interesting. We need to just let students be humans. They're following all these rules and have to do things a certain way, and we teach them the same things. And I think it's important to kind of change our way of thinking. It made me really think about that. And then it kind of talked about how we never can forget that justice is what love looks like in public, which I thought was a cool analogy. And then finally, she talked about how we can't be afraid of our students' power and how it will make tomorrow a better place. So I do think it is important to have our schools teach what's going on in the world, and how that students do have a voice and they can change that and have their own opinion. And we need to be able to teach them that those social and emotional and political things in order to help make a change. And then that second video, it talked about how they used the well-being curriculum in their schools, and they had an assembly, then they had class discussions, and they made those students have conversations with one another and thoughtful discussions, which I think is important. They're building communication skills, they're building debating skills, they're building all of these different life skills that they need in order to be successful. And they're learning about things that will help them to succeed in society. I thought it was cool how they let the students kind of choose what question they wanted to talk about, and it then allowed them to have more discussions. And I think it is important to realize that, those were elementary kids, and so it can start at that younger age and continue all throughout their schooling. And, at our school, we do have a curriculum, a social and emotional curriculum, and, it kind of talks about feelings and how we need to be nice to one another, and, don't judge the book by its cover and all of those things. And I think that, after watching this video, it does change my perspective on how I should be or could be teaching that curriculum, and having those students have a larger voice in the curriculum. So I really enjoyed these videos, and it made me realize um, how important it is to have students have that voice. So have a great day.